Hello, I'm Christopher M. Michaud, and this is The Canadianist. If you're like most Canadians right now, you're feeling two things at once: a bit of relief and a lot of frustration. Relief because inflation overall is finally easing. Frustration because it still feels expensive just to live, especially when it comes to food. Statistics Canada reported that inflation cooled to 2.3% in January. That's slightly better than expected, and it signals that the pressure we've all been under for the past few years is slowly beginning to ease. Gas prices are down year over year. Shelter inflation is finally slowing, something Canadians have been desperate to see. On paper, this looks like progress, and it is. But then you go to the grocery store. Food inflation is still running hot. Restaurant prices are up sharply. Staples like coffee and beef are still seeing steep increases. For families trying to manage a household budget, the reality hasn't caught up with the headlines yet. So what's going on? Some of this comes down to timing. Tax changes from last year distorted comparisons. Supply chain costs from earlier inflation are still working their way through the system. A weaker Canadian dollar made imports more expensive. Global pressures continue, and Canada depends heavily on imported food, especially in winter, which makes us more vulnerable. That's the honest picture. But here's the part that matters most. The direction is changing. Overall inflation is cooling faster than many expected. Grocery inflation should ease as supply chain pressures unwind. Interest rate cuts are not guaranteed, but they are back in the conversation if this trend holds. This is where optimism comes in, and it has to be grounded in reality. Canada is not broken, but Canadians are tired of being squeezed, tired of being told it's all someone else's fault, tired of the ideological tug of war where one side says everything is broken because of the other, and the other side says nothing can change because of the first. The truth is more complicated than that, and more honest. There are good ideas on the right, there are good ideas on the left, and there are blind spots on both sides. What's missing is the force in the middle that keeps things grounded, practical, and accountable. That's where the United Canadian centrists come in. The goal is not to replace every party. The goal is to become the fulcrum, the balance of power, the steady voice in Parliament that both sides have to talk to. Enough members elected so that decisions cannot be made in an echo chamber. Enough presence so policies have to be explained, debated, and improved before they affect Canadians' lives. Because right now, many Canadians feel politically homeless. They don't know where to park their vote. They don't fully trust either side. And they're not wrong to feel that way. So we're asking Canadians to think about their vote differently, not just as a way to pick a winner, but as a way to create balance, to send a message that the country wants cooperation, accountability, and common sense back in the room, to elect people who will keep everyone honest, not just cheer for one side or the other. Food prices, housing, affordability, national unity, these aren't left or right issues. They're Canadian issues, and they deserve representation that reflects the full country, not just the loudest corners of it. The path forward is steady, practical, and focused. Strengthen domestic production where it makes sense. Reduce unnecessary regulatory costs. Support Canadian workers and businesses. Maintain responsible fiscal policy. Rebuild confidence that the country is moving in the right direction. Because once confidence returns, investment follows. Jobs follow, stability follows. We're entering a period where Canada has a choice: drift and react or lead in balance. Keep shouting past each other or put voices in Parliament that force real conversation again. I choose optimism, determined optimism, the kind that says we see the problems clearly and we're going to fix them anyway. Inflation easing is a signal. Not that everything is fine, but that the worst pressure may be behind us. Now the work becomes making sure Canadians actually feel that relief in their everyday lives. And that takes leadership that listens, questions, and keeps the system grounded. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, you can go to thecanadianist.news, the official companion of the podcast, for all the news and updates and everything from around the country and the latest on what's going on with the United Canadian centrist.